Good Voch Rabbi Yossi, it's great to see you. We have so many amazing guests here from all over the place. It reminds me of pre-corona, pre-COVID. It's not a seat in the house. We built it a little small. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. We have guests from South Africa. I don't want to mention his name. We have guests from the next door building. Hasn't been here in a year. It's unbelievable. Wow. Tonight, there's a little bit of a matzav going on here. We have pizza. You could eat it as it comes in. If you're makbet to wash, then don't eat it right away. Le'ilu nishmas imi merasi rus bas Mordechai. And tonight's pizza is sponsored by Yosef Billyack. Le'ilu nishmas, his grandmother Rifka bas Chaim Moshe. Also sponsored by Elana Garfield in honor of Sam's birthday. You're the best husband and dad we could ever ask for. You see, a woman knows where to put the sponsorships. What means a lot to her husband. Wishing you many more happy and healthy years to keep shteigin. Happy birthday, we love you. By Benyamin Kessler, in honor of my friends and family in NDY, especially my brother Aaron Hirsch, Yochanan Itzkowitz, Rabbi Mutty Grunberg, and all others involved in the beautiful Queen siyum in front of the scenes behind, kexhechem, and Refua Shlema for Simcha Aliza Bas Clara. You can see on Moshe ben Sarah, Aliza Toba Bas Esther Gronã. The Sham should have an Aliyah, the Chaim should have a Rafua. I chose this because this is the first email from Succah, and this is by a Magid Shir from Boca, Rabbi Aryeh Esterson. As you revisited your list of DAF positives, I couldn't help but smile. I had a 9:30 flight from New York. It was delayed and wouldn't be taken off until 12:40 a.m. Of course, I was annoyed. But one of the thoughts that calmed me down was that now I would be able to start Masechta Sukkah with you live over Zoom at 12:15 New York time. You're right, Rebelli. You can read that a few times. You are right, Rebelli. You're right, Rebelli. The people who learn when they travel are mostly the ones who are doing the DAF. I learned the DAF twice during my 12:40 to 3:45 a.m. flight. As an added bonus, he texted his brother. He mentioned that he saw a picture of him in the Miami siyum. And when he found that he's watching the shir, he decided to join as well. So add Shmuel Esserson to your Lincolnwood MDY Chevra, Lincolnwood. I have a house in Lincolnwood now, and I lived in Lincolnwood for many years. That's in Chicago, like next to Chicago. Well, okay, I guess maybe I know him. Mazel Tov Yuma, the Kaisel seem beautiful. We will be to celebrate our next siyum there in Mirz Hashem by the Kaisel. Where are you from? Should I say the organization? What is it? Western Wall Heritage Foundation. Say your name, Nachamal. We don't want to say your name? Yoga Lishinsky from the Western Wall Heritage Foundation. Shkoyach for being here tonight. All the way from Yerushalayim. This one's from Yosef Bain. I want to give a testimony to the Gaivas Delio Shlita point about catching up later and that you'll love learning. Unfortunately, I'm the shleishim from my mother. During Shiva, I was unable to learn Daf Yomi. Before listening to Rebelli Share, I probably would have given up. I would be more than a week behind. I want to blame and thank Eli at the same time. Every morning during Shiva, the first thing that came to my mind after davening was, I can't do the daf today. Why can't Shiva be over? That's the point. That's why you can't learn, to be distraught. I was so distraught that I could not do the daf or listen to shir. When Shiva was finally over, I was so happy I can start doing the daf again. But how would I catch up? So I took Eli's advice and listened to the shir that day and hoped I would catch up with the missing dafim. Here's Yogi did the daf, 4 cycles, never missed a single daf in 4 cycles. We're not going to be able to be like that, but in case you miss, catch up later. Do today's daf and catch up later. 5 cycles, sorry. 5 cycles. There's a big difference, 7.5-year difference, 5 cycles. We're all in the beginning of the first cycle. 5 cycles. What year did you start? 83. You see, Panovich math, I should have chopped it like that. But I'm a little off today. 83. He started when he was 2 years old. Yeah. Mam Shanessa happened a couple days later. We were having electric work being done in our house, so I had no power for 6 hours. He had no power, he was able to learn Torah. I saw this as a sign from the Rebbeinu Shalom, taking away the distraction, giving me the time to do that. Baruch Hashem, I caught up. This is proof to Eli's testament because the Rebbeinu Shalom will help you catch up. You don't need to make sure to keep on. Make the daf yours. All the best. Yosef Bain, Yishkayach. I think we had enough for today. Or I could read this long one or not. Okay. Rabbi side today is Daf Gimel. And we are holding all the way in the bottom of Daf Beis, Amud Beis. 3 lines from the bottom. Just to review real quickly. We had a machlokes in the Mishnah between Rabbi Yehuda. Why are people standing in the back over there? We need some chairs. We don't have. Okay. We had a machlokes in the Mishnah. If a sukkah is taller than 20 amas, whether it's pasal or kosher. Then in the Gemara we had 3 shittas. One shitta said that the whole machlokes of a sukkah is taller than 20 amas only exists when the walls reach the schach. But if the walls reach the schach, then there's no machlokes. Here's a picture of the walls that don't reach the schach. Then another one came along, and these are all in the name of Rav. These 3 shittas. Another one comes along and says, no, the whole machlokes is when the sukkah is less than 4 amas. But if the sukkah is wider than 4 amas, everybody agrees it can be taller than 20 amas. And then the third shitta was, no, the whole machlokes is when it's less than 7 tefachim, tiny little sukkah. But if it's more than 7 tefachim, even if it's more than 20 amas, it's good. Says the Gemara. Then we had a story. Hilni Amalka, she was sitting in a sukkah that was taller than 20 amas. The Chachamim came to visit her, and they didn't say a word. They let her sit there. So you see, what do you see? So Rabbi Yehuda was trying to prove that you're allowed to have a sukkah that's more than 20 amas, and then they said, no, she's a woman. A woman's not chayav in sukkah, but she had children. She had 7 children. At least one of them was chayav, b'chinuch. Okay. So now the Gemara goes, that's where we stopped on Friday, middle of the sukkah. Because if you're new to Daf Yomi, it's a big, big no-no to do even one word onto the next daf. It's a big isser. It's one of these surah of Daf Yomi. So even if it's the middle of a line, we like to stop. Not always. Sometimes I'm over on the isser. We do tshuva later. Here. If we're talking about this case right over here, okay, I can understand how a wealthy queen, could sit in a sukkah like this. It makes sense. There's a lot of air coming in. She needs the air. Great. So it makes sense. That shita in Rav makes sense. Top of Daf Gimel Amud Aleph. But if we're talking about either one of these, doesn't matter which one. This one certainly is a big, big problem. 7 tefachim. But even this, 4 amas. What, a queen is going to sit in an 8-foot sukkah? She's a queen. What happened was, this queen, now the question really, Rashi points out right away, she's a queen. Now, no, maybe she sat in a sukkah that's 4 amas, 8 feet. But a queen has misharsim, she has slaves, she has all sorts of things going on. She has an entourage. 8 feet is not enough for her. Says the Gemara, maybe the pshat is, she had a very large sukkah, but it was made something like this. Compartments. She sat in one, her avodim, shvachos, they sat in different ones. It's also not, it's not the way it's done. In other words, yes, this makes more sense. We had a giant sukkah like in Babav and Bara Park, massive sukkah. But since she's a woman, she wanted to be tsunua and sit on the side so that the chachamim and everybody could do their thing, bikashrus, in a regular sukkah. And she sat in here in the 7. Now, if she had her children with her and everything, like the Gemara is going to say, so what? How do they all fit in here? Do they all fit in here? So Rashi has the question, he discusses it a little bit, but Taisa says, just to point out Taisa says it was 7, but it was wide. So her 7 children, as you can see, they were able to fit in there. Okay. Her son sat in the major sukkah. And she sat in the small little guy off the sukkah mishum tzniusa. And that makes sense why Chacham didn't say anything to her, because she's a woman and she's potter. She was with her children. So how's it possible if she has children? At least one of the 7 is going to have to be the age of chinuch. What's the age of chinuch? I might have not mentioned it yesterday. Age of chinuch is 5-6 years old. A boy, a kid, we're talking about boys here, that, because if it's a girl and she's a potter from sukkah, but a boy who doesn't scream mommy, mommy when he gets up in the middle of the night, 5-6 years old. Today, there's my 18-year-old screams mommy, it's a different generation. Amar Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak. I don't want to say my 11-year-old because he's here tonight. I'm not gonna. He's big. He doesn't do that. Amar Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak halacha tzricha shtei machzekes roishoi verubai v'shulchanai. La halacha, you need a sukkah, and we call that 7 tvachim by 7 tvachim. Why? Because we know throughout Shas, a human being takes up an amma. An amma is 6 tvachim. So where do we get to 7? Because the extra tefach is the shulchan. So halacha tzricha shtei machzekes roishoi verubai v'shulchanai. Halacha l'maisa. You hear, Mendy? It's for you. No, he said I should say more halacha l'maisas. I said every share I try to give halacha l'maisa, but I don't scream out halacha l'maisa. Now I'm going to scream out for him. There was a person, a Talmud Chacham, it's brought down in the Sefer. Talmud Chacham was imagine this, he was a guest by the Chaim on Sukkahs. Chaim says, come sleep with me in the Sukkah. Can you imagine sleeping with the Chaim in the Sukkah? He slept with him in the Sukkah, and he sees that the Chaim was very careful to keep his table in the Sukkah. She says, Rebbe, what's pshat over here? He said, because a sukkah during the day that you can't have your bed in it, or at night where you can't have your table in it, halacha l'maisa, he paskins, and it's in the Mishnah Berurah, it's meduik in the Mishnah Berurah. It's not a sukkah. You have to be able to have everything that you need for sleeping and eating in the sukkah. So think about it. Makbet, to keep his table, he didn't fold it up and throw it out of the sukkah. I need to put all my beds down. Sometimes we do that. There's a lot of guests. You like lay out the beds. It's a nice halacha to remember. Some argue with the Chavetz Chaim, but it's brought down in the Mishnah Berurah also. But based on the story, it's very nice how it's metuig in the Mishnah Berurah. Says the Gemara, so there is a Mishnah later on. Let's see if I can find it here. Here's the Mishnah. Mishnah says, Mi shahaya roishoy veruboy besukkah. Eventually, we're going to get those screens working like they did, and this is going to go on the screen. There's pizzas here, whoever wants to take. Calmly. Bring it to the kids before they jump out. Okay? Mi shahaya roishoy veruboy besukkah v'shulchanim b'sech habayis. If a person was, most of his head, his body was in the sukkah, but his table was in the house. It's a Mishnah in Daf Amud Aleph. Get there in a month. Beishamai poislim. Beishamai says it's possible. Ubeis Hillel machshir. Now, as the Gemara is going to discuss, a little bit of a contradiction here in the Mishnah, because it starts off saying Misha Haya. He. It's not talking about a size of a sukkah. It's talking about the human being, the guy. The guy sat in the wrong way. He sat where most of his body was in the sukkah, but he put the table in the house. It doesn't say how big the sukkah was. So it should finish off saying, Eina Yaitza. He's not Yaitza, but it says Puzzle. Puzzle is referring to a size of a sukkah, not what the person did. Misha Haya is referring to an act, an action, and Puzzle is referring to a size of a sukkah, and that's what the Gemara is going to discuss here. So the fact that we're saying that the sukkah has to have the size of a roish, roiv, and a shulchan, which is 7 tvachim, Amalei Baba, Kiman Kibishamai. That goes according to Bishamai in this Mishnah over here. They say they're more machmer in this case than Beis Hillel, and they say you need more puzzle. And in fact, we passing like this. This is one of the 6 places in Shas that Allah is like Bishamai. Amalei Elakaman. What? You don't know the Mishnah? Everybody knows the Mishnah by heart. Of course. The one who says that a sukkah has to be 7 tvachim is Bishamai. What are you telling me? Big chidushim here. Ikedah, some say it a little differently. Omer Babu. Dovel Chmani. Who's the one that told you this? Amalei Bishamai, Veloy Tazuz Mina. That's the halacha. It has to be 7 tvachim. Fine. Who told you, if you read this Mishnah, who told you that they're discussing a sukkah that's 7 tefachim by 7 tefachim? Dilma b'sukkah g'doyla pligi. Ukegoyin di Yosef aplumet mitalavto v'shulchan misach habayis. Here, beautiful picture. Here's a guy, has a beautiful sukkah, massive sukkah, but he's too lazy to schlep his table from the dining room into the sukkah, so he leaves it right by the doorway, and it's kosher. His head and his whole body's in the sukkah. His food is in the house. What's the big deal? That's the machlokes. What's the shaila? The shaila is he might get up and walk inside the house in the middle. He might chew his food inside the house. That's the problem. But we're not discussing a small sukkah. Who told you that we're discussing a 7 by 7 sukkah? Still sabri lo yigazrinu. B'day kenami diktani misha yeroshe v'ruba v'sukkah v'shulchan v'soich habayis v'shamai poislin ubeis hillel machshirin. Because it says mufurish mishahaya. We're talking about a person. There's nothing wrong with the sukkah. What's wrong in this picture is the person who's sitting in the sukkah. He's doing something wrong. Why? Because his food is in the house. So that's why it says mishahaya. The misa machzekis ve'enu machzekis mi'boilei. If you're right that we're discussing in machlokes about how big the sukkah is, how large it is, it should have said machzekis. Does it hold 7? Does it hold the table? It doesn't hold the table. We're not talking about holding. We're talking about the person doing something. Okay, now, just again, Allah l'maisa, Shalom Aleichem, a big default all the way. You came all the way from there? From Yerushalayim. Very nice. There's a chair right here in the front. Come to the front if you want. Yeah. Grab the pizza when you're on it. Yeah, bring it anyway, so you bring it to the kids. Great. Shkoch. So, Stam Shaila, I mean, maybe we're jumping the gun. The halacha is like Bishamai, right? What does Bishamai say? We're talking about halacha that maybe he's going to be drawn into the house. So you're in a sukkah that's 100% kosher. Midaraisa, what you're doing is 100% good. But Bishamai say, no, you're not yotzim mitzvah sukkah. Bishamai say, we're going to take away your mitzvah from you. We're able to take it away because we're the Rabbanan, and we're going to take away your sukkah. Midaraisa yotzah, I'm taking it away from you. This is a nice shaila. Shaila l'maisa, nogea l'maisa. What happens if you're in sukkahs, and the only way you can be yotzah the mitzvah right now is if you do something against Rabbanan. Let's say Rabbanan say, you're not allowed to have wide planks for schach. Midaraisa, they're mutter. That's the only thing you have. You're on a safari in Africa. The only thing they gave you is like this. What are you going to do? Do you sit in that kind of sukkah that you're not yotzim the Rabbanan, or you're not allowed to sit in that sukkah? Shaila l'maisa. So there's actually a machlokes achronim about it. The Magen Avraham paskins, you should sit in it. Shem wants you to sit in it, whole thing. But I saw a very interesting thing from the Nimukei or Chaim. He says mamish interessante chiddush. He says that if you have to close your sukkah because of the rain, you put like a metal piece, like right, 100% pasal midaraisa. It's better to sit in the sukkah than in your house. That's what he says. Because there's Gedusha. You heard about this, Rabbi Schoenberg? Because there's Gedusha in the sukkah, even though right now it's 100% pasal, it's better to sit in the sukkah. Okay, fine. Very good. By the way, I mean, I'm sure I would have other opportunities to say this, but it's Motzei Shabbos. There was a guy in Lincolnwood, a wealthy individual, who built a massive sukkah, beautiful sukkah. And he hired my friend, I won't say his whole name, Morty. Everybody in Chicago knows who he is. He's a big contractor. And, maybe I shouldn't have said his name because of the end of the story. No, but okay, it got much better after he built him a shlak. A shlak of all shlaks. You know what shlak is? It covers the sukkah, like a tarp. He built him this tarp with a whole mechanism. You go like this, and it just comes down, the whole thing. And then, sure enough, it rained. The guy spent thousands of dollars on this tarp. It rained, and he put the tarp over his sukkah, and the rain came, and most of it went off the tarp, but a little bit got caught in the tarp, and it started growing. It became a larger and larger puddle, until It was so much. It was like a swimming pool, and all 4 walls caved in. The entire sukkah, bye. You never seen a disaster like that in your life. It was like literally wall on top of walls, like the whole thing. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't correct it. It was like destroyed. All right. I probably jumped. Mistama, there's some sugi about tarp somewhere in the Masechta. I know there is, but whatever. We'll have to come up with another story. Make up another ma'isa. All right. Says the Gemara. What? Yeah. There's a Mishnah. Yeah, of course. Ubesukah ktana loy pligi. So ask the Gemara. Ubesukah ktana loy pligi vatanya. There is machlokes in a tiny sukkah. Nothing to do with the guy sitting at the edge of the sukkah in a very large sukkah, sitting in his house or the shulchan in his house. So pay attention over here. Over here it says the word shulchan. If you're sitting in a sukkah that holds your whole body, most of your body, your head, most of your body, and a table, how wide is that? We know that to be 7 tvachim. I think Doilim should eat pizza now, seriously, unless you wash or whatever. But 1 piece you don't wash, you should eat because it's going to be cold. Rebbe says no, a sukkah has to be 4 amos. So we saw that before. Who says you don't have to wash? Yeah, everybody holds you have to wash. Givaldi. The Americans and whatever, it's made out of, they have so many coolers. I might see. Okay, so you can get up one at a time, slowly and quietly to the sink. I know people hold, there's some people hold that since you don't make a suda on it and it's only 1 slice, huh? My kids, for instance, less than 4 slices is 0. It's like a snack, so maybe the mutter. He's the guy that edits the video, so I guess he's not going to edit himself out of there. Rabbi Yomi kol sukkah she'ein ba 4 amos. You hear what's going on here? Kol sukkah she'ein ba 4 amos al 4 amos psula. V'chacham yoimim afilu einu machzekes. Listen to this lashon now. Ella rosh v'rubai. What's missing from this line? Shulchanoi. Afilu einu machzekes al rosh v'rubai, which is 6 tvachim. Sheira. V'il shulchanoi like tani. Kashin adadi. We have a contradiction here in the brises. Ella la shmami noha b'shamai ho b'silel. One is b'shamai, one is b'silel. In other words, b'shamai hold has to be 7 tvachim. B'silel says 6 tvachim. So you see that as a machlokes even in a small sukkah. Not only in this case where they're sitting at the edge of he's sitting at the edge of a large sukkah with his table in. Guys, it's disturbing me, the noise here. We have to be very quiet. I can't concentrate. Thank you. Omar Mazutra. Masnisa nami daiko mediktani beishamai poislim or beisil machshirin. So then they go and they bring a raya from the end of the Mishnah. It says at the end of the Mishnah poislim, which is a lashon of the size of a sukkah. And in the beginning we said it's mashma, that's not the size, it just happens to be that's where he's at. His table's in the house, but it's a very large sukkah. But at the end it seems like we're talking about a small sukkah. Says Gemara, you're right. This lashon shouldn't say pasul, it should say the guy is not yaitza. It's a beautiful large sukkah, he's not yaitza. So what do you do with the beginning of the Mishnah, which seems like it's the problem with the guy, not the size? He says the Gemara, you're right. The Mishnah is talking about 2 different things. The first part of the Mishnah where it says Mishahaya is talking about a large sukkah. He just messed up because his table is inside the house. And the end of this, but if it's a small tiny sukkah, again another machlokes. If you want to continue the first words of the Mishnah, Mishahaya, what would be the proper lashon to say? Yatsa and not yatsa. The fact that it says Poislim Machshir, we're talking about a whole new case of a tiny sukkah. They argue on 2 different things. So if they argue on 2 different things, the halach is like Bishamai. In what? In a small sukkah. So the Rishonim are done again, one of these things. Since the halach is like Bishamai, is the halach like Bishamai in both cases? In a large sukkah where he's sitting and the table's inside the house? Or perhaps only in the case of a small sukkah? Well, it depends. What is the reason of Bishamai? Bishamai says the reason is because he might go into the house. He might leave this. So if that's the reason and he's right, his svara is a good svara, and the reason is in both sukkahs, then the halacha will be like him in both sukkahs, in the large sukkah and the small sukkah. But if the two different reasons, two different svaras, and we pass him like Bishamai in one svara only, then the halacha would be like Bishamai only in one case. Okay. Now, based on this machlokes, we have a machlokes. We just mentioned Rebbe. Rebbe says that a sukkah has to be 4 amas, about 8 feet. Perhaps we can make a connection here. It says like this. Listen to this. A house that that's not 4 amas wide by 4 amas wide, there's a bunch of cool halachas here. One is, what? It's not a house. And if it's not a house, so many halachas that the Torah talks about and says house, patur min ha-mezuzah, you're patur from a mezuzah. It's not a house. It has to be 4 amas by 4 amas. Umin ha-makil, and it's patur from a fence. We know a house has to have a fence. Otherwise people might fall off. It's dangerous. If it's not 4 by 4, you're patur, because it says in the Torah the word bayis when it comes to mic. And we know in Eretz Yisrael only, a house that has tzuras on it, a body could have tzuras, a house could have tzuras. The whole halacha, Chaim comes, close up the house, take out the piece, whatever the halachas are. If it's not 4 by 4 amas, that halacha doesn't apply. So this is a very interesting halacha. Look at this. We're learning now sukkah. How many different halachas are we learning here? Unbelievable, all over Shas. Things that a lot of people have never heard about, unless you learn sukkah, of course. So it says like this. It says in the Torah, if you buy a house, you purchase a house in a walled city, then you could redeem your house. It's like, maybe that's where, I don't know if you ever try to buy a house here in Eretz Yisrael. It's Shiva Medur Gehenim. Right now, this month alone, Donnie in the back could tell you, I went, they said, okay, he showed me, he said, I want to buy that one. Oh, that one he doesn't want to sell anymore. Doesn't want to sell. Okay, fine. So there's nothing left in the market. I'll take that one. He wants another 2 million shekel. Donnie, get over here. Get over here, Donnie. Get over here. Come, Donnie. The other wants to see what a cool real estate broker in Bet Shemesh looks like. We have Hill Abramson, but Donnie, we took him around. Abrams, I mean. Mazda. And the shit, okay. Donnie, is it a Maisa Shai what I just said?
Not even exaggerating. Not at all. Not a little bit exaggeration.
So I'll take that house. Oh no, I just spoke to the guy. He wants more. I'll take it. No, he doesn't want to sell. He'll sell it in 2 years. The other guy said, I'll sell it to you. I'm not a different guy, not with him. I'll sell it to you, but I'm keeping 1 room in the house. It's like you get crazy stuff.
That might be a little bit exaggerated.
It happened. That happened. How you doing, Mark? Mark's here, all over Yerushalayim. So I'm thinking maybe it started from this. Maybe it's because of the Torah. You sell a house. Imagine you sell a house, and then your wife has a little bit of a charata. You could go back to the guy, knock on the door. I want my house back, and he has to leave. You have a whole year. You could kick him out. That's only in Eretz Yisrael, and that's halach in a house. After that house, after that year, nothing, 0. You can never go back. But when it comes to a field, it's very different. For the first 2 years, you can't do anything. But after that, you can redeem your field whenever you want. Yep, I want in the field. And then, if you don't redeem it, it comes back to you on Yovel. Now, it goes like this. So if you have a house, you sold the little hut that's less than 4 by 4, it's not a house. So Memela, I can't redeem it the first year, but it's like a field. So it'll come back to me after by Yovel, whatever. I could do whatever I want. Okay. But these are halachas only in Eretz Yisrael. You know what? I made fun of Eretz Yisrael. I'm going to get all these emails. How can you say that? I once said something about a refrigerator. I said the refrigerator in Eretz Yisrael costs double. I got 3 emails. How can you're like the Meraglim? I'm not Meraglim. It's a refrigerator from China that costs 3 times the amount here in Eretz Yisrael. It's the guy selling it. No, you're Meraglim. So I'll say a very nice thing. I once saw a beautiful thing. A guy was at somebody's house on Friday night, and he saw an interesting thing. The guy, he's giving brachas to his kids, and all the kids come around in a big giant circle, and they're pushing. He's like, what's going on? So he said, I'll tell you what's going on. He's in America. What, did I say he was in Israel? Wrong. He's in America. So he's in America. So the guy says, I'll tell you. We are dying to move to Israel. Dying. But we can't, whatever. So what I do is, I buy a bottle of wine from Israel. And I open it up in front of my mishpach, and I tell them that the first part that comes out, that's the ear from Eretz Yisrael. You just smell the ear from Eretz Yisrael. It makes it exciting. They all come, all the kids, they smell. We're here in Eretz Yisrael now. We're smelling. That's pizza. That's something else. That's a little, but fine. Zok the Gemara. Listen to all these. What's the point of these halachas? You know what? I'll skip to the end for a second, so we don't lose. We're trying to prove is Rebbe, who says that a sukkah has to be 4 amos, is he's the same halacha over here, that a house has to be, if it's not 4 amos, you put it from a mezuzah, you put it from a fence, you put it from, maybe it's the same kind of thought. Says the Gemara, what else? We know, if somebody builds a house and he didn't live in it, and he's trying to get out of it, like the Chaim gets up and he says, okay, who built a house? If you built a house, or you're in Kailal, you don't go to war. Okay, so this is not a house. Okay, nice try. You heard they're going to war, so he puts a 3x4 thing. That's not a house. It has to be a serious house. Oh, okay. For a second, what's Eruv? Eruv means that if you have a chutzner, you're in a courtyard. Here's the courtyard in the time of the Gemara. All these houses, they open up into the courtyard. So Midrabanan, you cannot carry from here to here, from your house into here, because too many people own this. Different people own it. Reminds them of Rosh Hashanah. Here's Rosh Hashanah. So what do you do is, you make an Eruv. Everybody takes a piece of bread and they put it into one house. And then it's as if they all live together. They all are one resident. This is one residency here, and then they could all use this. Now, if you have a small 4 amma by 4 amma house, first of all, you don't have to be mishtatev with everybody else. You don't have a house. Second of all, another halacha that we're going to see in a second, you cannot place the bread in there because the bread has to be placed in a house, and it's not a house. So 2 halachas. First of all, you're not chayiv in it. Second of all, you can't place it in it. So Shita Mavais we discussed yesterday. It's the same idea, and that is, over here is a mavoi, it's an alleyway. And these are the chatzeros. Here's a house, here's a chatzer that we just discussed. The chatzer goes into the alleyway. Now, this alleyway is similar to Rosh Hashanah, so it'd be also to carry from here to here with the Rabbanon. So what do? They do a shitufei mivais. If you notice also, there's a tiny little lechi here, a little piece of wood, which is also important to have so that you don't walk into the Rosh Hashanah. But they take their stuff and they put it, let's say, in this barrel over here. Now, this barrel, where is it? It's not inside a house, it's inside a chatzer. Because we're trying to combine all the chatzeros that are here and make them one. The same idea as an Eruv. It's an Eruv, but it's an Eruv for all the chatzeros to be one. Wow, man, we're going through a lot of halachas here. And then I said before that you don't place an Eruv, all the bread, into a house that's less than 4 amos wide. We just turned to Daf Yomi Beis, sponsored by the MDY Tehillim Group, for all those who need shiduchim. Wow. Refuahs and Yeshuas, please join tehillim.8mindaf.com. It's another amazing halacha. Here's just, I printed a picture, I might as well show you. You don't put the bread in this little guy's house. It's not large enough for, oh, you can leave it over there. Leave the camera there, because I'm going to show this now. There we go. What happens is on Shabbos, you're not allowed to walk more than 2,000 amas past your city limits, past your house. But if you're in the city, that limit goes to the end of the city. So if you live in here somewhere, your 2,000 amas starts from this wall. You go this way 2,000 amas. Now, if there are houses on the way, as long as there are houses, like they have this whole Shaila Yerushalayim, where does Yerushalayim extend to? If there's a house, so every 70 and 4 tfachim, 70 and 2/3. You're going to have a house, and you have another house. It just goes and goes and goes. You can carry all the way to the last house. But what if you have 2 cities? So if there's a house between the two cities and they're within each, it's 70 and 2/3 and 70 2/3, that house will bridge the gap between the two cities. And now you could extend to the other end of the city. Your tchum, you could walk from your city to the city. And when you get to the end of the city, that's where your 2,000 amas start. Okay, yeah? Now the mom's behaving. Without pizza? Yeah. They didn't even wash? Why did you guys wash? Okay. Okay, so it says like this. Ibur means like a pregnant woman. This is like an extension to the city. The city's a little pregnant. And Memela, it connects the cities. But that again has to be a house, a real house that's more than 4 by 4 amas. So now the Gemara understands this is just the Havamina, but in the Havamina, if you have two partners or brothers who got a Yerusha, they can't force each other to divide. Something that's not divisible, you can't take something that's so small and cut it in half and say you get half and we're both not going to benefit from it. So they can't force each other to split it. So now finally, after we learned all these halachas, perhaps this goes according to Rebbe that says that a sukkah has to be at least 4 amas. Says the Gemara. Even Rabbanon who hold that a sukkah does not have to be 4 amas. Where are we talking about a sukkah? A sukkah is a diras arai. It's a temporary house. And Memela, since it's temporary, it doesn't have to be 4 amas. The diras kevahu. But when it comes to a house, and why do you need a house? Because the Torah says, Al mezuzah is beisecha, uvishorecha. Beisecha, has to be your house. All these things say the word house. So a house is a house, and a house is 4 amas. Rabbanan admit that a regular house that's permanent has to be 4 amas by 4 amas. They just say, they argue a Rebbe, that when it comes to the sukkah, it doesn't have to be 4 amas. Amamar. Now the Gemara just goes into all these halachas one by one. What is the reason for all these halachas? The Beis Ksibu Bekulu. If you look at Rashi, Rashi says mezuzah besecha kisivna Beis Chodosh ubasher lo Beis kim Beis Moshav asher bona Beis Chodosh. Okay. It says that if this house is less than 4 amas by 4 amas, you don't make an eruv in it. It doesn't require eruv. It doesn't require eruv. And you don't put an eruv in it. My timer. Since it's not something that you live in, it's not royal dira, so it doesn't require an eruv. Not only doesn't require eruv, you don't put an eruv in it because it's not a house. The eruv is a house. The whole point of the whole point of the eruv is that we are getting together here. We all live in this house. All of us live in this house, but it's not royal dira. It's less than 4 amas. Nobody lives in a house like that. So, by the you could put, when it comes to a mavoi, you could put the eruv of the mavoi in it, my timer, the loigara mechatzer shebe mavoi. Very, very simple. What's a sheet of mavoi? Sheet of mavoi says, I'm taking all the chatzeros in this courtyard, or here, all these guys. We're taking this chatzer, this guy's chatzer, all the chatzeros, and we're combining, we all live together. But it's the chatzeros. So where does the eruv have to be? The eruv should be in a chatzar, not in a house. How does it help me that you put all the eruvim in a house? When I'm trying to combine chatzeros. Before I was trying to combine homes, so I put the eruv in the house. Now I'm trying to combine the courtyards. So the courtyard, you have to put the eruv in one courtyard to show that all these courtyards are owned together. Right? That's why there's an issue with the eruvim. If there's somebody that can't own it with you, a non-Jew, and there's different problems when it comes to eruv because of this idea that how does the eruv work? We're all on this together. We all live here together. We all own this area together. Okay. Yeah. It's the middle of a kasha. I'm just explaining what's going on here. I'm saying the terrace before the kasha. My daima, the ligara mechazishu b'mavoy, the snan. we're explaining what is the difference between an Eruv and a Shituf. An Eruv says you cannot take everybody's bread and put it into a house that's less than 4 by 4 amas, but a Shituf, I can take it and put it into the house that's less than 4 amas. You know why? Look at it. In this picture, they put it into a barrel. So why is a house that's less than 4 by 4 amas different than a barrel? It's a large barrel. That's all it is. It's a kli in the middle of a chutzner. It's not a house. It's nothing. It's not a eruv chatzers b'mavui. V'avinam, we ask the question, eruv chatzers b'chatzers. Look what it says here. You take the eruv, you take everybody's bread, and you put it inside a courtyard. That doesn't make sense. Eruv chatzers b'chatzers v'snan. We learned hanois in eruv beis shar achsadra. Beis shar here. Where's the picture? Hope I have the picture. Oh, here. Beautiful picture. By the way, I spoke to the author, the owner of Kol Alashon. I said this when we were learning Eruvin, because we use this extensively in Eruvin, together with Pirush Chaim and a few others. He spent close to $1 million making the sefer on Eruvin. So I don't know how much this cost him. I didn't ask him, and he didn't offer. But I'm saying $200,000 to make the sefer, and he does it with his own money to benefit Klal Yisrael. He takes 20 shekel for his book, whatever it is, and he go ahead to use it, do whatever he wants. Unbelievable the chesed this guy does. In Kol Alashon also, he won't take any sponsorships. It's like Torah anytime in Eretz Yisrael. If you don't know what Kol Alashon is, he won't take any sponsors, nothing. He does everything with his own money. Fine. So he wants all the schusim for himself. Unlike, I'm very nice. I let people buy Gemaras and this. He doesn't. He wants everything for himself. Look at this picture. We had this. This is a picture. I'm just saying he saved a little money on this one because he took it right out of his sefer from Eruv. Here you have everything in one shot. You cannot put your Eruv in the Beis Shar. That's the entryway to the Chatzar. Achsadra is a portico. And a Merpeset, we know what a Merpeset looks like. This is like a cheap motel somewhere. It has this little thing. You can't put your Eruv over here. Okay. Hanois in Eruv Beis Shar. Achsadra, if you look in Rashi, very interesting. Look in Rashi, Achsadra, he says portico. Umer Peses, Eino Eruv. It's not considered an Eruv. Well, we just said a second ago that you take your Eruv, you put it in the Chatzar. And here it says you can't put your Eruv, not in Beis Shar, not in Achsadra, nowhere. You can't do it anywhere. So it's a problem. If you live there, doesn't make it usher. Why? Because it's not living. You can't live on a repeset. You can't live. That's homeless. That's not a real base dira. Elaima. So you have to say eruv chatzer bebayis shebachatzer. What it's coming to say, don't think it made a mistake here. It didn't make a mistake. It's very deliberate. What it's trying to tell you is that you should take your eruv and put it in your chatzer, meaning in this chatzer over here. Don't go down the block and put it in somebody else's house. If you have everybody's eruv, you have 5 pieces of bread from 5 people, you cannot take those 5 pieces of bread and give it to your neighbor that lives across the street. They have to be part of this chatzar. That's why it says b'chatzar, to teach us this halacha. Eruv says b'bayis b'chatzar. And where do you put the shit of mavais? If somebody has a Mazda that's blocking 2 cars, and there's, okay, hopefully it's not from our chaver. Our guys would never do something like that. What was the Havamina b'chal? This little 4x4 hut, whatever you want to call it, is no worse than just putting it in the middle of your chatzar. It doesn't ruin it. And that's why you can take the shit of mavais and put it in the chatzar in your less than 4x4 house. Right? So going back to this halacha, the house that's less than 4 amos, if it's less than 4 amos, it cannot combine the 2 cities together. Why? Burgonim, I have some sort of picture here, I think. Oh, here. This is a burgonim. It's some sort of hut made out of reeds and leaves. If you have this in between 2 cities, it's good. But if I build a nice house that's less than 4x4, it's no good. Why? What's the difference? My time of burgonim chazilim sayu. Whoever built it for a purpose. This is to hunt. Whatever. this is the way you build this kind of structure. It has a purpose. Okay? You want to blend into the surroundings of there. So this is what you do. So therefore, it's able to combine cities. But if you build a tiny little house, that's not a house. A house that's less than 8 feet wide and by 8 by 8 is not a house. Fine. And now we're going to talk a little bit about, we're just going to finish the sugya for tonight. If the house is less than 4 by 4 amas, brothers who inherit a house and shutfim they can't force each other. You know, you have the buy-sell option in real estate. If you have a partnership, it always says, I could force you to buy and you could force me. I could force you to sell it to me, or we name a price, and you can't do that over here. You can't force your partner to sell it to you, or you sell it to him. Why? It's too small and has zero value. What are you going to do with a 2 by 2 amma by 4 amma house? Nothing. It seems like the whole problem is because it's less than 4. Right? Simple diuk. It seems like that if it's 5 by 5, you could force a chalukah. And that's not true. It says, 5 by 5, you cannot force a division. It's only if there's 4 by 8. And a 4 by 8, I get 4 by 4 and you get 4 by 4. Or bechotzer. You have to be garish here. You can't force him to split it like a chotzer. Then what? It's very cool halacha. Look at this. A father left the Yerusha to his sons. He wanted to be fair. So he gave this guy the double wide, what is this called in English? Trailer. The double wide trailer. And he gave his other son 3 baby trailers. Okay? So how it works is, according to Rav Huna, is because he got 3 doors and he only got 1 door. Yes, his trailer is 3 times the size of a single trailer over here. But the chutzner gets divided by the doors. So Shimon, in yellow, 1, 2, 3, he gets 3/4 of the entire chutzner. All of this is Shimon. And this strip right over here is for Reuben. Why? Because the svara in this is, according to him, that the chutzner is only there for you to unload and load your stuff, to pull up your car, your wagon, and unload. So each door needs the chutzner for it. So therefore, each door, so he gets, you think that he gets in terms of, maybe he got gypped off over here because there's small little things, but he gets, in terms of chutzner, he benefited. That's one svar. Chizda says, no, that's not how it works. This is how it works. I helped myself to do a little red so you could see it, a little shvach, only because I wanted to point out something here, that each door gets 4 amas, but by the width. So if you have a giant wide door, one of those double doors that they have sometimes in American homes, like this one right over here, so you get 4 amas long by, let's say, 8 amas wide. It goes by the door. If it's very narrow, you get it. The point is, once again, that you could be able to unload your stuff in front of the door. So let's say after you give each one his 4 amas in front of the door, you have 100 amas left. Each brother is going to get 50 amas. You divide it right down the middle in terms of the square footage. But each brother gets in front of the door 4 amas depending on the size of the door. That's Rav Chizda. I'm almost done. And the rest is divided equally. That's great when you have a double trailer or whatever, a house. But this is a piece of garbage that's meant to be knocked down. It has zero value. If this is what you have, if this is your inheritance, you inherited something that's less than 4 by 4, you get 0 chatzar because it's not a house. It's meant to be knocked down. Have a wonderful week. Be'ezer Hashem. I will see you tomorrow by shir at 7:15. Please give this to someone in the shir you trust. I'm supposed to insult somebody? I trust my son. Here, where's Yoel? Yo, get over here. Not for you. Please give to David Feinberg. That's what it says on it. מה יש? זה ככה. I'm not a pig. What is this? Where is he? Come, this is for you. Victor, thank you for coming. Wow. What do you mean? This is for you. I don't know. Open it up. Huh? No, nothing to do with that. No. Shkar, thank you so much for coming. Same here. By the way, I'm not going to be able to come tomorrow. My wife is leaving to America on Monday, and she's doing the. Maybe they'll be on the same flight. I know, but I wanted to come see the.
I'm back all the time. I could always arrange to come down.
MDY penalty book.
She's on LL?
No, she's going to Chicago. So I think she's a United Director Chicago. Here, bring this home. What does it say? That's great. So you don't have to say anything. You just you lift it up. Hello, David. We should make you a little. David. We should make you a little holder over there. You put it over there. Just pull it out whenever you need it. How's the baby?
He was in the ICU a little bit 2 weeks ago.
I know. Doing better?
I have to tell you, when he's eating breakfast in the morning, he's watching your share instead of watching Elmo.
Really?
Yeah, seriously.
Instead of Elmo.
Instead of Elmo.
Ellie. He's going to grow up. Ellie. Give me Ellie.
Yeah, I got to bring him in the morning.
Oh, Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? מרגליות. תנראה קצת כמו אבא שלך. פשי. מה קרה? אבא שלך שלח אותך לכאן? שמעת? You speak English? You understand? Beautiful. Take some pizza. Rabbi say, eat pizza. Someone can? 20 kids here. I want kids. For Succah, we need kids. Shalom Aleichem. Thanks for coming. Where do you live? Oh. So you're going to try it out in the morning, or it's not? In the morning. Tirutzim. Teire. Talk to this guy. Tell him that he has to come in the morning. It's not that. He doesn't have an alarm clock, he said. He doesn't have an alarm clock. מתי אתה הולך לישיבה? מה זה? נכון? בוא נחזקו. שלום עליכם. What's your name? Yo. Devir, Shalom Aleichem. Where do you live? I have no idea where you live. Wow, so why don't you come more often? You know Devir, he's on Zoom all the time. Three times, Mark.
Okay, bittersweet thing they announced today that they're not opening up before September.
What does that mean? They did it?
Huh?
Yeah, but even if they do, you can make it. You can make both. Come back. Shalom Aleichem, Tzaddik. Yeah. You were watching? You watched yesterday's Daf? Yeah, no, I'm listening.
Yeah, that's what I want to say.
Who? Oh, Helia Malki, yeah. Maybe he's dead. I don't know. Maybe she's divorced. Obviously, something was going on there. I don't know.
Really going to be scuba diving for kids?
Scuba diving for kids?